All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar for today. The title of our webinar is called the EdTech Toolbox, and so we're really excited about this webinar. Of course, it's part of our NWOCA webinar series, and it's a little bit different than some of the other webinars that we've done in the past because this webinar does have all 5 of us here, all part of the instructional services team, all 5 of us here today. And what we're going to do is each one of us is going to present 2 different what we call slams. And so you're going to walk away with a lot of neat tips and tricks that you can go ahead and use inside and outside of your classroom. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with the first part, and I'm just going to do a quick introduction of the people that are here for today, our hosts for this webinar. And the first host we have for today is John Mantle-Platel. He is the Instructional Services Supervisor, and he's also a Google for Education Certified Trainer. And it does say a little bit about him off to the side of the page. And then I'll kind of quickly go through all the rest of us here. Chris Malanga is another host for this webinar. He's an Education Integration Specialist and also a Google for Education Certified Trainer. Once again, there's some information about Chris off to the side of the page. I have myself, who is Christy Hughes. I'm an educational technologist and also a Google for Education Certified Trainer, and some information about me. We have Julianne Lang with us as well. She's an educational technologist and a Google for Education Certified Trainer. And then some information about Julie also off to the side. And then lastly, we have Kim Murray with us, and she does all of our InfoHio stuff. She's our InfoHio coordinator, and there's her email and phone number, and also, she taught a little bit about herself. Slides is her favorite G Suite app, and she's been with NWOCA for 3 years. So what we're going to go ahead and do is just kind of talk briefly about the webinar housekeeping and some other things as part of our introduction, and then we'll go ahead and hop into the slams that we have prepared for today. So if you've never been in one of our webinars, just some housekeeping. You can mute your microphone, but please don't hesitate to ask questions. There is a chat box that's integrated into this WebEx software, and I'm just going to go ahead and send out a quick chat to everybody. So if you were not aware of where that chat box is, you should have seen my, I just typed in hi, you should have seen that pop up. So feel free to communicate with us via the chat, or just go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask us a question. But please don't hesitate to ask any questions along the way. If you'd like to follow along in your own Google account, or rather in your own Chrome or anything, feel free to go ahead and do that as well. Let me go ahead and go to the next slide here. So the objective for this webinar, again, this is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. What you're going to go ahead and walk away with are 10 tips and tricks based on what we're going to present with our slams. So each one of our slams will be about 5 to 7 minutes, and we do have instructions on how to do these slams. So once we show them, this whole presentation does have links inside of it. So afterwards, you can go ahead and pull up those links and kind of follow the directions on how to do the various things that we're going to go ahead and talk about. So I do want to talk to you about our training.nwoca.org website. This is where we house all of our materials for anything that we're doing. You can see right up at the top, it does say class materials. These are all just different icons that go out to checklists that we have prepared. All of the checklists entail lots of instructional videos on how to do various items throughout, any kind of Google product, and, lots of different things. So feel free to visit our training.nwoca.org website and, get some materials to kind of help you out with, some of the things that you might be doing in your classroom. And also, I'll just kind of point out all of these webinars are recorded. So there is a recorded webinars tab right there. So feel free to use that after the fact. And we do have webinars every week now. So feel free to kind of look back and watch any previous webinars that we might have done. Our Tech Tuesday tips, I just want to briefly talk about this as well. There is a link down at the bottom of the page. If you want to sign up for this, we do have an email that goes out every Tuesday. And we're not going to spam you or do anything else. This is basically just a kind of short and sweet email that shows you how to do something within technology. Now, sometimes it's related to Google, sometimes it's not, but there are lots of screenshots within the email and then just some directions on how to do various items. So feel free to sign up for that, and again, you will receive one email every Tuesday with some kind of technology tip or idea of something new you may want to try. All right, so we are to the point of our EdTech Toolbox, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this. And the first person I'll go ahead and introduce is John Mansell-Platel. Again, he's our Instructional Services Supervisor, and he's going to go ahead and start our slams out with the managing calendars and also the saving the YouTube video. So I'm going to pass the ball to John and go ahead and let him get started.
What I'm going to show you was, in fact, as a great tie-in with what Christy just said, the topic of this week's Tech Tuesday Tips was how to manage your Google Calendars on mobile. And what we're going to see is that, in fact, we'll go to the first slide then. You're going to see that, there we go, went too far. The objective is, if you want to open up a calendar on multiple devices, not all calendars actually work the same way. And so what we will see is that here is actually my Google Calendar. That's just in Chrome. And then there's an example of what that looks like on my iPhone. So I have two separate views of the same calendar. But in fact, depending on which client I use, it will connect differently to each calendar. So in the next slide here, we can see the problem that I have is I have, in the top section that you'll see in calendars, are the calendars that you have the ability to add and make changes to. And then in the other calendar section would be calendars that you can view that belong to other people. So I can see Christy's calendar, Julie's calendar, Chris's calendar, and Kim's calendar in here. Now, the problem is that if I look at that in the calendar app on my iPhone, so that's the built-in calendar app that Apple provides on every device, the unfortunate thing is that all my calendars don't actually show up there. So none of these shared calendars are actually shown up in this list. So what I need to do is go to this website here, calendar.google.com/calendar/sync-select. And when you go there, you'll actually be presented with this fairly innocuous-looking page called Google Calendar Sync Settings. And as you can see, there are the two calendars. And so what I need to do is I need to check these boxes here, that these are the calendars that I want to show up on my mobile device. And so I'll explain on the next slide what the difference is between a regular client and a mobile client. But we would just simply select these here, click the Save button, and it will come to a screen and say that your settings have been saved. So then when I look in my calendar, I will see all of these are now available to be viewed on my mobile device. So let's switch to the next slide here. So here's what's going on. You have two ways that your calendar can connect to Google. One is with a native client. And so Google Calendar in a web browser is a native client. Google Calendar app on Android and iOS is also a native app. That's not Apple's calendar, that's the one that you would download that's called Google Calendar. Then there is a second type of client that's called a CalDAV client. And the CalDAV client actually does a syncing of calendars between accounts. And Apple Calendar is a CalDAV client. And also you will find other third-party calendar apps that you can download either from the the Android App Store or the iOS App Store. Most of all of those are going to be CalDAV clients. And so we have to use the calendar sync settings in order to make those calendars show up. Okay, very quickly, how to share a calendar with yourself. Sometimes you will have a calendar. For example, I have a personal Google account and I have a work Google account. And it would be nice if I could create a calendar event in my personal Google account from my work Google account. And so to do that, you have to share the calendar with yourself. So you go into calendar settings, and you'll find a place where you can add, and it says share with specific people, and you'll type your own address in there and choose make changes and manage sharing, and then click add person. And then pretty quickly you'll then get an email from yourself saying that that you have shared a calendar with you. And so if you then go into the calendar, you'll now see that I added this Black Swamp 4-H Club calendar to my personal calendar, my calendar section in my work calendar. Where this is handy is I can create a new calendar event, and then I can choose for the event which calendar I want that to belong to. So I can add events to my family calendar, to the Black Swamp calendar, or to my personal work calendar. So that's a really handy thing to be able to do. And then lastly, if you decide that you don't want to be having these calendars show up in your calendar feed anymore, or listed on the left-hand side there, then you just go into calendar settings, and you will find on one of the screens here that you can choose this unsubscribe link here, and that will actually remove that calendar from your calendar. Okay, so that was the first slam, which is about calendars. And I exit out of that. Switch to the next one, and this one is about an app called ClipGrab, and it's an executable Windows, Mac, and Linux application that you can use to easily save videos from YouTube and put them on your computer, or as you will see, optionally put them up inside of your Google Drive. And then later on, you'll see how you can take those videos and do interesting things with them. So Chris has got a slam about that. So essentially what it does, it saves videos from YouTube in a number of useful formats. And obviously the main one here is MPEG-4, and that's going to be your MP4 or M4V video file, which is the fairly common video format that you'll find around on the internet. But another less used one, but interesting, is MP3 audio. So you can often find music files and other things on YouTube, and you really don't want the video part, you just want the audio. So it's a great way to get different kinds of music to put onto your computer, and you can just download them directly from YouTube. Okay, so where do you get the software from? The website there is clipgrab.org. It's actually a German guy that develops this software, but this is the English site, clipgrab.org, and you would click free download. It's going to recognize if you're on a Mac or a PC. If you're on a PC, it would have the PC download active. If you don't see the right download, then you can click on this show all download options, and it will download the other version for you. So once you've got it installed, and really that's something either on the Mac or the PC, you just run through the procedure to install it. But once you've got it up and running, you'll fire it up, and it's got a very simple interface. It's got 4 tabs here, and you'll click on the Search tab and type in this little box here what you're looking for, and hit Enter, and then it comes up with the results. And then you would click on one of these, and then when you go to the next screen, then it's going to ask you what you want, where you want to save that particular video. I think I might have got my slides out of order here. Let me go to the next one. Yes, so we have to adjust the settings. And here are the way you can choose between MP3 audio or the video, and you can choose here the quality. And so for these Simon's Cat videos, which there's a couple of Valentine's ones which are hilarious, I recommend you download them. You can download the HD or lower quality HD, or they have other. Obviously, the smaller this number, the smaller the file size. And so you adjust the quality and format, and then you would click grab this clip button, and at that point, like I said, my slides were out of order, this screen would come up and it would ask you where you want to save it. Now I'm actually saving my file on my Google Drive so that I can then insert it later on into a presentation. So what I do is I've chosen to save it in Google Drive, and I hit the Save button, and then it will download, and then in my case, it's actually put it here. So there's the video I just downloaded from YouTube, and it's in there as an MP4, and I'm using the Google Drive app, which allows me to sync that with my Google Drive. So here is what the same folder looks like in Drive. And just as a bonus here, this is what I'm using, this download Drive option, which if you click on the gear in Google Drive will give you the option to download the app. And it basically just puts a folder on your computer that you can save things into, and anything you save into that folder will be saved to your Google Drive. So that's the end of my presentation.
John,
and I'm going to then...
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add in one thing. We had a question about, are you allowed to do this? Is it a legal thing? My understanding is that this is falls under fair use. So if a school would block YouTube, like for example, it would be the ability for the teacher to download the video ahead of time and then still show it in class under fair use laws.
But yes, it's the most useful thing to use that for. Downloading a video would be if your school blocks YouTube and you want access to that, then obviously you have another way of getting those videos in there. Just give Chris a few seconds to get himself oriented, and he will be starting out with how to put videos in slides. So he kind of takes up where I left off. I showed you how to get videos onto your computer. Now you can learn how to put them into slides.
All right, thank you, John. The thing I'm going to be showing today is something that's fairly new to Google Slides. It's an improvement that teachers have been asking for a long, long time, and that's the ability to put your own videos into Slides presentation. So previously, we used to only be allowed to put in a video from YouTube, and teachers got around that by putting in links to YouTube videos or links to other videos. But what I'm going to do is show you the ability that we now have to put it into a slides presentation without using YouTube. So you could use this for videos that you may take yourself or videos that you downloaded. So here's a little presentation I put together, and 4 of the 5 of us are BGSU grads, so Julie's just going to have to deal with this right now. But this is something I put together about a Falcons football game. So I put together a little presentation here, and I put together a kind of like a collage of photos. And so I can go ahead on and you know, add those photos in and use the ability to do your arranging, bring things forward and backwards to make a really cute little slideshow. But what I want to do right here is put a video. And this video that I did is a video that I took on my phone at one of our Bowling Green football games, and it's a video of the band playing. And so previously, when I went to insert video, the only thing I had a chance to do was YouTube. So now there's a new option in here, and you could search a YouTube video by title, or if you know the URL of the video, you could put it in there. But now there's this Google Drive option. And when I click the Google Drive option, if I go into My Drive, and actually mine's in shared with me, I haven't added it to my drive, here's this movie that I want to put in. And all I have to do is hit select. It'll bring the movie in, and then I can move it around on the screen however I want to. I can make it bigger, do whatever I want to do with it. And then you won't be able to see this very well, but then when I present the video, when I present the presentation, the video will pop in, and it'll just start playing as part of the slide presentation. So you can see the video playing there. And that's a video that I took on my phone outside of the stadium. And so that's my video that I'm able to do. So a really simple thing. It's a trick that teachers have been asking for a long time. And it's really a cool thing that now we're able to do that. So I'm thinking of a lot of different use cases where like teachers take video within their class and be able to do that, or kids take video with their you know, their devices and, you know, can share that video in a slides presentation without having to put it on YouTube. So it helps out with the privacy issues as well. So that's the first one that I want to show you. The second one I want to show you is the cool reminders feature that is built into Google Keep, Google Calendar, and the Inbox feature. So if you haven't heard before, Google Keep is a place to kind of keep all of your notes and other things. You could put URLs in there, things to refer to later, but it's kind of a notes application that's built in. So it's just keep.google.com. And so I can just take a simple note. I can make this grocery list, and then I can go in and I can say milk, bread, juice, applesauce, and then there's that. And then I could take another note, and I could say visit youtube.com and watch John's cat video. And so it's just basically a note thing, and each time you add a note, it drops the last one in there. Well, one of the things we can do is we can put it together a list. So I could actually take this here, and I could have converted it, I could have made that a list. But what I'm going to do is show you how to make a reminder. So I've already got one reminder in here that's pick up my wife from the airport, and I said in the note that her flight arrives at 3:00 p.m. And I wanted to be reminded tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Well, I'm going to take another note in here, and I'm going to title this one, prepare presentation for NWOCA Roadshow in Perrysburg. And I'm going to work on my robotics presentation. So that's basically a note. And then down here, I've got this little reminder. It says, remind me. So when I click the remind me, it allows me to choose a reminder later today, tomorrow, next week, or I can pick a date and time or a place. So if I have a reminder for a grocery store, when I'm at that grocery store, that reminder will pop up. But I'm going to pick a date and time, and I want to prepare my presentation on Tuesday morning, and let's do it at like a custom time. So let's do it at 9:30 a.m. I can also set that reminder to repeat or not repeat. So I can set it to remind me daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or custom. I'm just going to say does not repeat. And now I've got that reminder, and you can tell that my reminder is at February 21st at 9:30 a.m. So I can always go to Google Keep, and up here at the top, I can hit reminders, and it'll show me all the things that are reminders. So soon, reminders that are soon. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock is soon, and then there's others. That's one place I can see my reminders. The other place I can see my reminders, if I set a reminder date and time, I can actually see the reminder on my Google Calendar. And so I'm going to go into the day view so you can see this for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I have a reminder right here to pick up my wife from the airport. Now, I didn't type that in my Google Calendar. That came through Google Keep. And I can click through, and you can see that Tuesday at 9:30, there's my prepare my presentation for NWOCA Roadshow. The other place that these are here is through the Inbox app. So that's inbox.google.com. It's just another way to view your inbox. It's the same as Gmail. It's your Gmail account, but basically just in another view. And some people prefer this view. It's got a cleaner look than the Gmail. But there's also reminders here. And so you can see that both of those reminders here are as well. So I can use this as a reminder spot. So there's no excuse to forget things. Your reminders work really well. So I can either open this up in Google Keep, or I can check it off here. I can check it off here. I can open it up and mark it as done. Or I can come into Keep, and I can mark it as done. And it's just a cool way to use 3 different Google programs to keep your same to-do list in sync and view them any way that you want. And they do work on the mobile apps as well. You can see your reminders for the week on your Google Calendar mobile app. So that is what I've got for my slams. And so I'm going to send it back. Our next person is going to be Christy, and I'm going to send it back to Christy here just a second. All right, Christy, you should be good.
All right, let me just share my screen here. Okay, great. So my first slam, I love add-ons. I love apps, extensions, add-ons. I love all these extra things that you can do with all these Google applications. And so the first slam that I'm going to do is on an add-on called Doc2Form. And this add-on is, again, completely free. You can go to a blank Google Doc, or you can go to a Google Doc that you already have, something typed up in. It doesn't matter. But to install it, you're going to go ahead and go to this add-ons menu and go down to the bottom where it says Get Add-ons. and you're going to search for something called Doc2Form. Now, the reason why I like this add-on is because, I work with a lot of teachers, and, they'll tell me, hey, I already have this quiz or this test already prepared in a Google Doc. And now that Google Forms does that whole built-in quiz feature where you can turn on a Google Form to become a quiz and have it automatically grade it, it's really nice to bring all of your quizzes or tests and make them into be a Google Form. But if you already have them in a Google Doc, you don't really want to have to retype it. So this add-on called Doc2Form will take your text, your document, and move it to a Google Form. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So once again, if you're just getting started, you're going to go ahead and go to that add-ons menu, go down to Get Add-ons, and search for Doc2Form. Now, once you have it installed, you'll notice that I have my quiz or my test already pulled up. And of course, I'm looking out my window right now in this lovely Ohio weather. Well, we never know if it's going to be 20 or 60. So my questions are based on the weather. So I'm going to have this already pulled up, and I'm going to go to my add-ons menu, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Doc2Form. And I'm just going to slide my cursor over and click on Create Form from Doc. And so what pulls up is a little wizard off to the side. Now up at the top, I like how it gives you these form options. So just by checking these boxes, if I want my Google Form to automatically collect the usernames, of course that's for Google Apps only, all I have to do is check that box. And then the next two, if I want Google Forms to automatically put in a question that says, what is your name? And then also, what is your teacher's name? I can go ahead and check those boxes, and then it will automatically have a question in my Google Form that asks those things. So down below, now I'm ready to go ahead and put in question 1. Well, if you notice, we have this Use Selected Text link right there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go back to my document, and I'm just going to highlight the first one. And I'm going to click on Use Selected Text, and then it puts itself right inside that text box. Now down here it says type, so I have to select what type of answer choice are the students going to have. So in my case it's going to be multiple choice, however you notice all the different options that you have there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on multiple choice, and then it says add options separated by semicolons. That's really important, that semicolons part, because I can go over here and I can copy and paste these. Notice how I don't have the Use Selected Text option for the answers, but I can still copy and paste them. But you want to make sure that you put those semicolons in after each selection, because that's how Google Forms will know to put the next answer on another line. Because otherwise, if you don't have them, it'll just kind of run right through all in the same line. Now, you don't have to put it after the last one because there's nothing after that last one. You really just have to put it in the top 3 or the top ones, however many you have. Now I'll just really quickly go ahead and click on Add Question again. So I would go ahead and go to question 2 and do the exact same thing. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Use Selected Text. It pops itself in there, and I'll do multiple choice once again, and I'll quickly put these in there and go ahead and separate them by semicolon. So you get the idea. I can go ahead and do this for every single question, and the nice thing is if you already have a quiz or a test prepared, you can look through that Google Doc, and maybe you don't want every single question in your Google form, but at that point you can kind of decide what you want and what you don't want. So once I have all of those in my wizard, I can go ahead and click on Create Form. And what you're going to notice, it says now creating form, and I'll say your form has been created. So if I click on View Form, it will automatically open up into a Google form. So of course I can go ahead and rename this. I don't have to keep it the same name, and by using my little color palette up here, I can change the background. It doesn't have to be purple if I don't want it to be. But look at this, it says what is your name and who is your teacher. So all I did was check those boxes in that Google Doc add-on, and then it automatically put that question in. And then here's my first question, what is the weather right now? And then what kind of weather are they predicting for this weekend? So it just mimicked everything that I had in my Google Doc. So that's become one of my favorite add-ons because it's so easy just to kind of bring in things that I have already created into a Google form without having to recreate anything. All right, so my second add-on that I'm going to talk to you about, my second SLAM, is called Flippity. Now this is a website. You may have heard of this before. You may have even used it before, but it recently just became an add-on to Google Sheets. And so if you're going to go ahead and try this, what I would recommend is go to a blank Google Sheet first, and then go ahead and go to Flippity. It doesn't really work well if you have a Google Sheet that already has information in it. So go ahead and open up a blank Google Sheet, and then same thing, this is an add-on for Google Sheets, so you're going to want to go to that add-ons menu and go down to Get Add-ons to go ahead and install it. Of course, this is free, so you can go ahead and search for it and then go ahead and install it. And what you're going to notice with all of these add-ons, no matter if you're in Sheets or Docs or Slides or anything, once you add it on one time, it's always there. So you don't have to worry about having to do this each time. You go to Get Add-ons, install it, and then it's always in your list. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Add-ons, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on Flippity. And right here it says Pick a Template. Now this is where it really gets fun. And I was a former third grade teacher, so I used to always look for like Jeopardy type games or, just different things that we can play with review games or, just different things that the kids can do in school, in class. And so what this does is I like how it already has these templates created. So if I want to create flashcards, I can go ahead and do that. Of course, I can demo this, or I can just click on Use. If I kind of move this over, there's also, here's your popular one, your Flippity Quiz Show. So that's going to be like your Jeopardy game, or they call it a trivia game. I can move on. We have Hangman that you can go ahead and maybe put your spelling words in there or your vocab words in there, and you can have the kids guess the different letters before, they do the Hangman. Here's spelling words, here's random name picker, here's mix and match. I mean, there's so many of these. I can just kind of keep cycling through here. There's so many of them. Another neat one, and I remember playing this when I was a kid, Mad Libs. So this is a really neat one to get your students used to using adjectives and nouns and adverbs and things like that, and it creates a really cute story. So again, I could keep going through, but I'm going to cycle back here just to, I'm going to just pull up one example here, but you get the idea of how many templates are out there. So I'm going to go with this popular one, this Flippity Quiz Show. So if I wanted to demo this, I can click on Demo, and then it would just give me a real quick demo. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to imagine that I already did that, and I'm ready to use it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Use, and it says it's building a template. Now what it will do is, of course, it's going to populate my spreadsheet behind it, and those are all just text boxes. I can go ahead and change that at any point in time. But what you're going to be faced with is this flippity.net URL. And so what it is this URL right here, I can give this to anybody, and they will be able to see my game. So down here it says show shortened URL, and then of course I have the long URL. Both will work, it doesn't really matter. But at this point I probably don't want to share the URL yet because I want to make some changes in my game. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on close, and now if you notice the game right behind it is all color-coded and it has all the categories up here and everything. So what I would do, and I can even have the students do this too if we wanted to kind of keep or do a game together, these are all just text boxes, so I can double click on this and I can edit any of this information right here, and it just becomes a text box. Because it's in a Google Sheet, when I start typing, it's going to, of course, automatically save it in my own Google Drive. So my recommendation at this point would just be make sure that you name that Google Sheet Jeopardy game math terms or Jeopardy game social studies terms or something like that, because then it's easier to find and easier to remember that that spreadsheet was part of that game. So again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave what it has, but just know that each one of these you can go ahead and rename, and then it will automatically save for you. When I'm ready to play this game, if you remember that URL popped up right at the beginning and I closed it, there's another spot where you can go ahead and get that URL. If you go back to your add-ons menu and go back to Flippity, now I get the option right here, flippity.net URL. So when I click on that, it will pop back up with that same URL that was there before. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and click right on that URL. And it comes up with my Jeopardy game. So I can put my team names if I wanted, like if they wanted to be the Bears and the Tigers and whatever, like I can go ahead and do that. And then all of these are pulling from that spreadsheet. So real quick, let's just play a real quick game. If somebody said, I want B's for 100, so here's your question, and each one of your teams can go ahead and guess what the answer is. And when I click on the answer, whatever team got it correct, like let's say Team 1 got it correct, maybe Team 2 got it wrong, Team 3, maybe Team 4 didn't answer. So I can go ahead and, appropriately assign points. Now, when I click to return to the board, it automatically keeps score for me. So because Team 2 and Team 3 got it wrong, it subtracted 100, whereas Team 1 got it right, so it gave them 100, and then Team 4 didn't answer, so they had 0. So you get the idea. So you can go ahead and keep going through each one of these and play a Jeopardy game based on any information you would have put in that Google Sheet. And the reason why I really like this is because, we can go through that whole game. Like, let's say I teach this social studies unit 3 times to 3 different classes. So I can make one game and use it over and over again with each class because it's just stored in a spreadsheet. So when I name it, I can name it, whatever would be appropriate for the title, what I'm teaching. And then anytime I'm ready to go with it, I go to add-ons, Flippity, and then flippity.net URL. It pops up. Once I click on that URL, I'm ready to go once again. So really neat. Those are my 2 new add-ons that I've been using. Doc2Form for Google Docs, and then Flippity for Google Sheets. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go on. Julie is our next one ready for Slam, so I'm going to give her the ball and let her go ahead and get started.
Great, thank you, Christy. That was so good. Okay, hopefully you guys can see my screen. All right. So my 2 Google Slams will focus on using Chrome extensions to quickly create a Google Slides picture slideshow. So for step-by-step instructions, you can follow this link here or the QR code. For today's example, I will be creating a presentation to celebrate President's Day. The presentation will contain one image of a United States president per slide. Let's get started by adding the Chrome extensions we're going to be using to accomplish this task. Okay, so we're just going to click on the Apps button, and then we're going to visit the web store. Okay, the 2 Chrome extensions that we're going to be downloading is Save to Google Drive. This allows us to easily save web content, images, docs, and browser screenshots to your Google Drive. And then also we're going to take a look at Drive Slides. This is a recently added extension, and it allows you to create a Google Slides presentation out of Drive folder full of images and pictures. So it's really great for young students to quickly create a presentation if they have the images in a folder, and also great for us teachers to use maybe to showcase a fun field trip or maybe Grandparents' Day with a lot of images. Okay, so once we're at the web store, you can just enter in those extensions. So I'm just going to type in Save to Google Drive. Okay, and if you already have that added, which I do, you'll notice that mine is green here, but if you do need to add it, you'll just click on Add to Chrome. And then while we're at the web store, go ahead and search for Drive Slides. And that's just all one word. Okay, again, if you need to add this, your button will be blue, so we'll just click on Add to Chrome. I already have mine added, so my button is green. Once we add these extensions, you'll notice to the right of our Omni box, you're going to see the Save to Google Drive. Okay, it looks like our Drive icon. And then our Drive Slides icon is a little grayed out, but it looks like a slides picture. All right, so now we're getting ready to get started with our presentation, and since President's Day is on Monday, we're going to return to our My Drive, and I want us to organize our images in a folder. So we're going to create a new folder. I created one here with the title President's Day. So to add a new folder in your drive, just click on the new blue button and then New Folder, and give that folder a name. And you'll notice that I do have several pictures of the 7 previous presidents in my folder here, and I need to add President Trump's picture along in this folder. Okay, so to get ourselves ready using the Save to Google Drive, when I'm working with students, I usually have them right-click on that Drive extension and then select Options. And this will allow our students to specify what folder those images are going to automatically be saved to. You'll notice that mine says President's Day already, but you can change that destination folder just by clicking on that button and then finding the folder that you want to save those pictures to. So I usually will just use the search bar and then find the folder that we just created. Okay, now that we have the destination folder set up, we can just search for images in Google. Okay, so I'm just going to click on Images, and we're going to type in President Trump. Okay, now one of the settings that I like to use when working with images with students is having them click on the Tools button and then Usage Rights. I really want to make sure that our students are using images that are not copyrighted. So we want to select either labeled for reuse or really any one of these other 4 options here. So I'm just going to click on labeled for reuse and then find a picture here that I would like to use in my presentation. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through here. Okay, I like this one here with the flag. So I'm just going to click on that image, and then by using your shortcut menu, we can select Save to Google Drive, and then Save Image to Google Drive. Okay, now it tells us that the image is untitled, so we'll want to rename that just so that we know what image that is. And then it also tells us what the destination folder is. So it's taking this image into the President's Day folder. So I'm just going to click on the Rename button and then enter Trump. And then I'm going to keep the JPEG extension and then just click on Apply. All right, so let's go back to our My Drive, and we should see that those images are now in our President's Day folder. So I'm just refreshing, and I'm going to look for our Trump image here. Okay. I might have the destination folder mixed up here. Let me see if I just refresh it again. Hopefully it will pull in. Okay, so once we're ready to create our Google Slides presentation, we're just going to make sure that we're in the folder that has all of our images, and then we're going to click on our Drive Slides extension. So once we click on that, it's going to create our presentation automatically for us. It's just going to open up a new slide tab, and then with that slides, it's going to have an image on each slide individually. So this is just really a very quick and easy way to create a picture slideshow. Students can then add text or captions. They can resize the images if they want to, change the background color, but it just saves a lot of time rather than inserting images on all these slides one by one. Okay, that's all I have for you. That's how you can create a really quick presentation using 2 Chrome extensions, Save to Google Drive, and also Drive Slides. Next up is Kim Murray. I'm just going to go ahead and toss it over to her.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to begin my slam by talking about StoryMap.js. You might be wondering what StoryMap.js is. Well, it's an easy-to-use storytelling tool using maps. Some examples of when you might want to use this would be telling a story about travel or migration, or maybe mapping out historical events or a sequence of events involving locations. So this is an example of a story map I created about my summer vacation. Off to the right here you can see an overlay of the title page that has my title with some text below it and an image. And off to the right or the left, you can see the icons or the markers of the various locations of points of interest that I wanted to point out of my summer vacation. And within these markers, you'll notice some icons. The icons represent the media that's being used on that particular slide. So for example, this marker is using an image, this one a tweet. This one is a Wikipedia article, and then down here is a YouTube video. I would also like to mention that when you're over here on the map view, you can double click to zoom in, and you can also view the story in a nonlinear fashion by clicking on the markers. So for example, this particular marker, this is the last place that we visited while on vacation, and this would be the last place you would end up in my slide presentation. So to go back to the beginning, we'll click up here, back to beginning, and we want to view this in a linear fashion. So we're going to click on the arrow over here to the right. So we can go through. As you'll notice, the map off to the left here changes as we're going from point to point. This is an example of YouTube video being embedded, which I think is pretty cool, talking about the Washington Monument. We can continue on through the slideshow, and as you can see, we're moving right along here. The map is changing as we're going, and anyhow, I'm going to hop out of here and show you how to create your own. So we're going to go into storymap.nightlab.com, and I meant to click back here. Sorry about this. I'm not in the right spot. Okay, so this is where you're gonna go. storymap.nightlab.com. You're gonna click on Make a Story Map Now. Now, the first time that you log into here, it's going to ask you to log in with your Google account. You have to have a Google account in order to create a story map. But since I've already done that, I come right up to this page. We're going to click on New, and we're going to give it a title. We're going to give our story map a title and click Create. Now this is a story map interface. This first map here, we're not going to worry about putting in a location because this is our title page, and it's going to have an overview of all the different points of interest from our other slides. So this one we just want to give a title. So I'm going to say summer vacation, and we could give some text here on my... And I'm not going to type anymore because I don't have the time. We can also upload an image here or a URL to media, and I'm kind of going to skip over that as well because I'll show you that in the next slide. So over here, we're going to add a slide. So this would be our first slide. So we have our summer vacation over there. Now we're adding a slide. So I'm going to first type in my point of interest here or on the map. I'm going to type in Arlington National Cemetery. So it brings me here to Arlington National Cemetery. Up here in the left-hand corner, I can zoom in to how close I want it to be when my reader or my audience clicks on this slide. And I'm also going to give it a title here. And then I have some text I'm going to put down here that I already have up here for time's sake. And let's say I want to link this Arlington National Cemetery here to this web page about the cemetery. I'm going to copy that link, and then I'm going to click on the link here and paste that in there. And I'm also going to check open link in a new tab so it doesn't take my audience away from my story map page when they click on that. I am going to put some media in here, and I'm going to actually have it be Changing of the Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier YouTube video. So I'm going to click on that link. I'm going to paste that in there, and I could also give credit to that there, but I'm just going to click Save right now, and I'm going to preview that. So here's a preview. Let's say I think that's looking a little boring. I want to give some color to the background of this overlay here. I can go down here to background options, and I can click in the background color. I'm going to give it a little blue color, click close. preview it again. So now you see I have a little bit of color there. And let's say I really don't like my map either. I want it to be a little more detailed. I can go back into edit and I can go up here to options. And I can click on the map type down here. And let's say I want it to be OpenStreetMap standard. You can play around with the different ones that are in there. Let's say this one's good. Again, I kind of want to zoom in a little bit closer. And let's say I'm happy with that. I'm going to click Save and preview real quick. Let's say, yep, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to, I already saved it. And now I'm going to share it with my audience. So I can just go up here to share. There's our link that we can give people so that they can view this. Down here is an embed code that you can put on your web page. I'm going to hit close. But I also want to go back over here real quick and show you that once you have all these slides done for your story map, that it is like a YouTube, or sorry, it is like a Google Slides or a PowerPoint presentation. Whoopsie. Sorry about that. I'm trying to hurry. And you, oh my goodness gracious. And you can move these around just like you can in Google Slides and such. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully this might be something that you'll use. There's more detailed instructions in the slide presentation. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some Gmail apps and extensions that I think might be able to save you some time as well as boost your productivity. The first one is an app called Gmail Offline, and this it does exactly what it says. It allows you to access your Gmail offline. To get there, we're going to go to our settings cog up here, click on settings, go to offline, and click on Gmail Offline. This is going to take us to our Gmail inbox. And up here, it's alerting us to the fact that we have not installed the Gmail Offline app, and messages will not be available when we're offline. So I'm going to install the Gmail Offline here. It's going to take us to take me to the web store. I'm going to click on Add to Chrome, add the app. It's going to place the app in my apps launcher here. So the next time that I do not have offline access, I will go to the apps launcher up here, click on Gmail Offline, and then I can begin working in offline mode. I can search for emails right up here. I can compose an email by clicking here. I can go to my inbox and search through my various labels. Off to the right here, I can archive a message, or I can click on this down arrow and I can label messages, move them. I can report them as spam or mark them as read. So basically, I pretty much have full functionality of my email when I'm in offline mode. And then when I connect to the internet again, this will sync and my messages will be sent, and the actions I took in offline mode will be updated accordingly. So that is Gmail Offline, a great tool to use, like if you're, in an airplane or traveling without access to the internet. The next item I'm going to talk about is an extension, and it's called Multi-Email Forward for Gmail. And I've had a few people complain that they're disappointed that they are not able to forward multiple messages at one time. Rather, they have to click on an individual message and then forward it, click on another message and then forward it. With Multi-Email Forward for Gmail, we're able to select a group of messages, go up here to this arrow, the multi-forward. This is where the extension lives, rather than living up here next to the address bar. So the extension lives in Gmail. I will click on that. And the only, downfall to this is you can only select one individual to forward it to at a time. But I'm going to forward these 5 emails to this particular individual. So with a click of a couple buttons, I was able to forward multiple messages. Now, the next item I'm going to talk about is called Snooze Gmail. This also you can find in the web store, and it is an extension as well, but it will live up here in our Gmail. So let's say, for example, I'm at a meeting and I receive some very important messages. I'm afraid they're going to get lost in my email. I would like them to come back to me at a later time when I know I'm going to be available to take action on those. So, for example, let's say this particular email is important. I want it to come back to me, let's say tomorrow at 8 a.m. I can just click on tomorrow at 8 a.m. and it will pop back up into my email at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Or right here, I can click on this X there and I can customize the date and time I want it to pop back into my email. But for this example, I'm just going to click on tomorrow at 8 and I'm going to click snooze. So it says that isn't now in my snoozed folder. So when I go to snooze, there I see that particular email is going to come back to me tomorrow, the 23rd at 8 a.m. So I think that's another very helpful extension. The next one I'd like to talk about is Boomerang for Gmail. Boomerang allows you to schedule messages to be sent or returned at a later date. So you can write a message now and send it whenever, even if you don't have access to the internet or you're not online. So this might be a great tool. Let's say you're going on vacation and you don't want to deal with your email at the time, but there's some emails that you want to send out while you're on vacation. We can go in here to compose, select our recipient, type in our message, then down here at the bottom we have an option, send later. We can click on this. We have an option of when we want to send the message, in an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, if we want to send it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, or we can send it in days and weeks, or we can select a specific time that we want to send it. Let's say I just want to send this in 2 days. So it's scheduling my message to be sent here. And it's saying my message will be sent on Friday, February 24th. If I go in here to my labels, it's going to put that in my Boomerang file, my Boomerang outbox. So here I have my test Boomerang that I just created. I can click on that and it's telling me that it's scheduled to send Friday, February 24th at 10:57 a.m. Now, if I wanted to, I could send that now. I could change my mind and not send it at all, or I could reschedule it to send it at a different time. So those are the apps and extensions I think that might make your life a little bit easier. Hopefully you'll enjoy those, and I have those in the slide presentation if you do not remember the names. Thank you.
I would just like to thank everybody for attending, and those of you that are going to watch this after the presentation gets done, you will be able to access the presentation there by looking at this link here. There's a Google shortened URL. We encourage you to get involved with our Google Educators group, and there's a link there where you can find out more about the free activities that we offer in the Northern Ohio area. We've got an event coming up on the 7th of March in Perrysburg, and you can find out more information about that on our Google Educators group page. Remember that the Tuesday Tech Tips weekly email goes out on Tuesdays, and if you want to get involved with that, click on the link and then sign yourself up, and you'll get some tips every week. And then lastly, if you need CEUs for this event, you please fill out the evaluation. You'll be sent an email this evening with a link to where you can fill out the evaluation, and the certificate will then be automatically sent to you. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you at the next webinar in a week's time.